Hi, my name is Geoff Trott, inventor of the Airhead line of composting toilets. It all started because portable composting toilets didn't exist for boats, recreational vehicles, or tiny homes. I was an avid boater, and by the mid-90s I purchased a RVIA Centurion, which was not equipped with a holding tank, and I had looked everywhere to find a system that would actually fit, and I couldn't find one. A neighbor of mine showed me his plumbing system because he had actually made a fiberglass tank, which is actually pretty hard to do, and I could tell he was very proud of it. But he was also unhappy with it because he said, well, you know, I don't really like the way it looks, I don't really like the way it works, and I noticed also an odor when I went down into his boat. So what he said is, my next step is to build a composting toilet, and I actually knew the size of these things. They're generally, 3 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet high. You have to stand on a ladder to climb up to them, or a short set of stairs in any case. And these were the ones that existed at the time. So there was really nothing that would fit into boats. One device was a scaled down version of those units, which combined the solids and the liquids together, and they had to be big to perform. My design developed with the idea of, okay, how will I fit something into the boats? And I achieved that by creating a system that diverted urine. My first try, it did not divert urine. I had basically what was a 5-gallon bucket that was designed to conform to my hull of my boat, and I connected that to a solar vent, and it worked. There's no odor inside, and it did in fact contain the solids, but they were actually in a disgusting form. It really had a strong odor, much like a cat box, which could be noticed on deck. So my next step was, okay, if the urine pooling in the system is the problem, let's separate it with a funnel. That's what I did. I put a funnel in there, right in the front where it needed to go, and that ran into a bottle, and that actually improved things somewhat, but it still wasn't where I wanted it to be. So the next step was to put an agitator in it, and at the time that agitator looked kind of like what you've seen in rototillers. It just had the tines that were bent, and I noticed a big difference, particularly out the vent where there's no longer any strong odors. But it got the job done. Before, when I didn't have the agitator in there, I would be varnishing my tow rail, standing in the dinghy, and right next to that vent I noticed a strong odor. And then once I put the agitator in, that changed it completely. So I knew I had something. I had never really intended on marketing this thing or designing a product for everybody, but it just seemed to me that the marine industry really could use something like this, because absolutely nobody was happy with their holding tank systems. One marine mechanic said to me, Jeff, if you've got something, if you've really got something, then you need to market it, because people are looking for a solution. Everybody's looking for a solution. I really started thinking about this in 1996, and I committed to it full-time in 1998. And I remember that was a really busy time for me. In 2001, in August, we launched the product. We had advertisements in Sail Magazine and Cruising World, and I got a few people interested, and I sold a few. And then we started going to boat shows late in 2001 and straight through 2002, and the interest at the shows was spectacular. I mean, I remember, still it's the case, we have multiple lines of people as we're doing conversations about the unit, and the press followed suit. We had practically every boating and sailing magazine, some outdoor living magazines as well. So we're doing really well in the boating industry, and we were focused on that almost entirely. We started getting people contacting us who had vans, RVs, particularly old Airstreams. I remember so many people contacting me time and time again. We've got an old Airstream, we're redoing it. This looks like it would be a good thing. Whether it be boats or RVs or tiny houses, that it inspired me to develop multiple designs that would be flexible enough to go into all these places. And here's my newest design.